In the vast seas of the Grand Line, where legends are forged and shattered, there exists a figure shrouded in mystery and sorrow, that being Bartholomew Kuma. Once a mysterious and imposing figure, a former warlord of the sea and an agent for the Revolutionary Army, Kuma was initially presented as an emotionless, Bible-carrying antagonist and an enigmatic threat. Yet, as the Egghead arc has meticulously peeled back the layers of his past, Kuma's story has emerged as one of the most heart-wrenching and beautifully constructed narratives in the entire series. It's a testament to Oda's mastery of storytelling, transforming a seemingly minor antagonist into arguably the most tragic and selfless hero in the One Piece world. In this video, we will delve into the meticulously crafted details of Bartholomew Kuma's life, from his birth into oppression to his ultimate sacrifice, analyzing why his backstory resonates so deeply and is hailed as one of the greatest ever written in One Piece. Before the video starts, I want to quickly mention that if you like any of the content that I post on this channel, consider clicking the subscribe button. It's completely free and you get more One Piece videos. You also might notice that the PNG that I use is a bit different now. I hope you guys like the new change. Anyway, Bartholomew Kuma's torment began at the very moment of his birth, approximately 47 years before the current timeline in the humble Sorbet Kingdom. He was born a buccaneer, a race that was marked by their immense stature and physical prowess. However, this lineage was not a blessing but a curse under the oppressive rule of the world government. The buccaneers were deemed a great sin by the celestial dragons, leading to their systemic hunting, enslavement, and near extinction. Kuma's early childhood was happy but short-lived. Born to loving parents, Clap, and an unnamed mother, his world was brutally shattered when his family's buccaneer heritage was discovered by the world government. They were immediately captured and transported to Mary-Joa, the very heart of celestial dragon tyranny, and it is here where Kuma witnessed unspeakable horrors. His mother, who was subjected to relentless abuse, died in chains. His father, Clap, despite their grim reality, tried to instill hope in the young Kuma, recounting the legend of sun god Nika, the mythical warrior of liberation who would one day free the oppressed with the drums of liberation. This tale of hope would become a foundational belief for Kuma. However, even this small solace was snatched away as Clap was mercilessly shot by a celestial dragon due to his insolence, right before Kuma's innocent eyes. This raw, brutal exposure to the world noble's inhumanity left a great scar on Kuma, forging an early understanding of the world's inherent cruelty and the desperate need for a liberator. The suffering continued at the infamous God Valley, a forgotten island where celestial dragons annually held a native hunting competition, a twisted spectacle of sport and domination. Kuma, who was still a child, was one of the natives hunted for amusement. It was in this hellish crucible that he forged his first crucial bonds, meeting Emporio Ivankov and Ginny, two fellow captives yearning for freedom. God Valley would then be visited by the Roger and Rocks pirates as well as the legendary Monkey D. Garp, which would be the catalyst to what became the God Valley incident. Amidst the chaos, Kuma managed to consume the Nikyu Nikyu no Mi, a Paramecia-type devil fruit granting him the power to repel anything he touches, whether it be physical things like objects and people or abstract concepts like pain and memories. Using this newfound ability, Kuma saves Ivankov and Ginny, along with 500 other slaves, a testament to his power and inherent desire for liberation. Following the escape from God Valley, Kuma, Ginny, and many others returned to the Sorbet Kingdom. Kuma, embodying his compassionate nature, became a priest, using his devil fruit ability to repel the pain and suffering of his people. He would absorb their physical anguish into his paws and take their pain all by himself, an act of profound selflessness that foreshadowed his ultimate destiny. He and Ginny grew incredibly close, their bond being a beacon of light in their shared past. Ginny even proposed marriage, but Kuma, scarred by the loss of his mother due to her marriage to a buccaneer, refused, fearing that marrying her would only bring her the same tragic fate. Yet their deep connection remained a silent understanding of enduring love and partnership. However, the peace in the Sorbet Kingdom was fleeting. The kingdom suffered under the tyrannical rule of King Makori, who exploited his people and aligned with the world government. Kuma, unable to stand by while his people suffered, rose in rebellion. His acts of defiance, coupled with his immense strength and compassionate leadership, led to him being labeled a tyrant. This rebellion caught the attention of Monkey D. Dragon, who along with Ivankov was forming the Revolutionary Army, an organization dedicated to overthrowing the world government and freeing the world from its oppressive grip. Kuma was a natural fit for their ideals of liberation, so he became one of the founding members and a high-ranking commander of the Revolutionary Army. Kuma's role as a revolutionary agent secretly working against the very government he would later appear to serve adds a layer of tragic irony and profound self-sacrifice to his character. 8 years later, while on a mission for the Revolutionary Army, Ginny was captured by the Marines and was forced to become the 8th wife of a celestial dragon. After 2 years of torment, she contracted the incurable sapphire scales disease, a condition that crystallizes the skin when exposed to sunlight, leading to excruciating pain and eventual death. Now that Ginny was deemed useless by her captors, she was abandoned, thrown back into the Sorbet Kingdom with a newly born daughter, Jewelry Bonnie. Before her death, however, Ginny managed to send one final message to Kuma expressing her enduring love for him before succumbing to the disease. Kuma, who was heartbroken by Ginny's tragic demise, immediately took Bonnie in as his adopted daughter, vowing to protect her and provide her with a loving life. He showered her with affection, teaching her about the sun god Nika and instilling in her the same hope for liberation that his own father had given him. Their time together, though brief, was some of Kuma's happiest. Unfortunately, fate, being as cruel as ever, had other plans in mind. When Bonnie was around 3 years old, she began to display the same symptoms of the sapphire scales disease. Doctors offered no hope, stating that it would be a miracle if she lived to her 10th birthday. In complete desperation, Kuma sought a cure across the world, and eventually it was Monkey D. Dragon who provided the last glimmer of hope, recommending he seek out the world's greatest scientist, Dr. Vegapunk, on Egghead Island. Dr. Vegapunk, who was intrigued by the sapphire scales disease and Kuma's unique buccaneer physiology, believed he could devise a cure. However, the cost for the operation was astronomical, equivalent to creating the most advanced cyborg in the world. Unfortunately, Kuma did not possess such wealth. Thus, a fateful and horrifying deal was struck. In exchange for curing Bonnie, Kuma would allow Vegapunk to experiment on his body, using his unique lineage to develop an army of human weapons called the Pacifistas. This agreement, however, was overheard and grotesquely expanded upon by Saint Jagartia Saturn of the Five Elders. Saturn saw an opportunity to not only gain a powerful new weapon, but also to eliminate a key revolutionary and further humiliate a buccaneer. His brutal conditions were that Kuma must become one of the 7 warlords of the sea and, most agonizingly, undergo a complete transformation into a mindless cyborg, losing his personality, memories, and free will. Kuma would effectively die as a person, with his only purpose being to serve the world government as a loyal, soulless weapon. Furthermore, Saturn had explicitly forbidden Kuma from ever seeing Bonnie again, and if he did, Bonnie herself would be turned into a slave. Vegapunk, despite his ethical concerns, was powerless to stop Saturn. Kuma, who was now faced with the agonizing choice between his identity and his beloved daughter's life, made the ultimate sacrifice. He willingly agreed to Saturn's terms, choosing Bonnie's future over his own existence. This decision solidified his place as a tragic hero, a man who gave up everything he had for the sake of another. Over the course of 2 years, Kuma's body was modified and his humanity slowly eroded. Yet even as his consciousness faded, fragments of his indomitable will and compassion remained. Before his final memories were erased, Kuma made 2 crucial secret requests to Vegapunk. First, he asked Vegapunk to program him with the final mission to protect the Thousand Sunny for 2 years during the Straw Hats' separation. This was a direct result of his belief in Monkey D. Luffy, Dragon's son, as the true warrior of liberation, the Nika that his father had prophesied. Kuma saw Luffy as the hope for a truly free world and was willing to sacrifice himself to ensure his crew's survival and growth. Secondly, he requested that Vegapunk, when he next saw Bonnie, would tell her to have a happy 10th birthday. This heartbreaking detail underscores his desperate clinging to his role as a father, even as he was being stripped of his ability to fulfill it. These last conscious acts of Kuma's will manifested powerfully throughout the series. At Thriller Bark, he tested Zoro's resolve, and after witnessing Zoro's willingness to die for Luffy, Kuma miraculously repelled all of Luffy's pain and fatigue into Zoro, a silent act of extreme selflessness and belief in the future Pirate King. At the Sabaody Archipelago, against all orders, Kuma intervened during the Straw Hats' utter defeat at the hands of the Marines and Kizaru. Instead of delivering them to the world government, he used his pawpaw fruit to scatter each Straw Hat member to various islands he has visited during his search for a cure that were specifically chosen to allow them to train and grow stronger, preparing them for the challenges of the new world. For 2 long years, Kuma stood over the Thousand Sunny, silently defending it from all threats, fulfilling his promise to Vegapunk and his silent commitment to Luffy. This period is a testament to the strength of his spirit that transcended his physical transformation. After the time skip, Kuma, who is now a complete pacifista with no memories or personality, became a mere slave of the Celestial Dragons. He was subjected to further humiliation, ridden like an animal by St. Rosward at the Reverie. This public degradation, witnessed by his own daughter Bonnie, was a stark illustration of the depth of his sacrifice and the world government's inhumanity. Yet, even in this mindless state, Kuma's deepest instinctual desire for Bonnie's safety and liberation persisted. During the events at Egghead Island, his body, seemingly on autopilot, defied all programming and began an arduous, painful climb up the Red Line, driven by an unknown subconscious imperative to reach Bonnie. Kuma then shows up at Egghead Island, where Bonnie actually is, and delivers what is possibly the single most satisfying punch in the entire One Piece manga, straight to Saturn's pathetic face, knocking him down to the ground, saving his precious daughter in the process. The reason why Kuma's backstory is one of One Piece's greatest has multiple aspects, the first being the themes of unconditional love. At its core, Kuma's story is about the ultimate act of self-sacrifice, as he willingly gives up his identity, his memories, his free will, and his very humanity, not for glory or power, but for the life and freedom of his adopted daughter. His willingness to become a mindless slave for those he cherishes elevates him to a truly heroic status, even if his heroism is largely unknown to the world. The second aspect is the irony and misdirection of Kuma's introduction. For years, Kuma was a figure of fear and confusion. His actions at Thriller Bark and Sabaody Archipelago were initially perceived as cold, calculated attacks. The reveal that these actions were in fact acts of immense kindness and foresight, scattering the Straw Hats to safety and guarding their ship, is a brilliant narrative twist. It transforms a seemingly villainous character into a benevolent protector, deepening the emotional impact of his ultimate sacrifice. Kuma's life also perfectly encapsulates the central themes of One Piece, being the fight against oppression, the yearning for freedom, the inherent cruelty of the world government and celestial dragons, and the power of inherited will. Born into slavery, a victim of systemic injustice, Kuma spent his life fighting for liberation, only to become the ultimate symbol of forced subjugation, which almost sounds like another anime protagonist that you may or may not know. His belief in Nika and Luffy's eventual role as the Liberator ties his personal tragedy directly into the overarching narrative and prophecy of the One Piece world. He embodies the suffering that Nika is meant to alleviate. The chronological unfolding of Kuma's past is a relentless series of heartbreaks that has a lot of emotional depth. From losing his parents to witnessing Ginny's demise and Bonnie's illness, Kuma is a character constantly plagued by suffering. His silent endurance, his lack of outward complaint even as he is stripped of his very being, creates immense sadness and pity. The quiet dignity with which he faces his horrific fate, particularly his heartbreaking farewell to Bonnie through Vegapunk, makes his story deeply moving. The last aspect is of course the weight of the choices Kuma has made throughout his life. Despite being a victim of circumstance, Kuma's ultimate sacrifice was a conscious choice. He had alternatives, though perhaps not ones that guaranteed Bonnie's survival. His decision to embrace oblivion for her sake is a powerful statement about parental love and the lengths one will go for their loved ones. In conclusion, Bartholomew Kuma's backstory is a masterclass of emotional storytelling. It is a narrative woven with threads of deep-seated trauma, profound selflessness, and the enduring power of love. From a child born into the chains of a cruel world who longed for a liberator, he became the very embodiment of sacrifice, silently bearing the pain of others and laying down his life for the hope of a brighter future for those he loved. His quiet dignity, his unwavering compassion even in the face of unimaginable suffering, and the tragic irony of his fate make him a truly unforgettable character. Kuma's journey is a powerful reminder that heroism often comes not with grandeur, but with silent endurance and the willingness to give up everything for the ones who you love. It's a story that encapsulates the very heart and soul of One Piece, leaving a profound impact on the hearts of its readers and cementing his place as one of the greatest and most tragic figures in anime history. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to click the subscribe and like button, it'll be greatly appreciated, and comment down below what you think. Does Kuma have the best written backstory in One Piece, or was there more that Oda could have done with him? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video.